Hello.
Hello, Mofiani. How are you? You? Let's see. Having some fun here. Gonna be waiting for some other people to climb on board. Not sure how to
Okay.
do it. So I'll be right with you. Nobody's on yet. I'm still trying to find out what's going on. I will open the floor to
Okay.
you. I'll open the floor to you in a second. You might get your own private.
Okay.
Um,
I mean, people did say that they were going to join, but maybe they didn't see the part about the 15-minute delay
no.
yet.
Okay.
Maybe.
All right. Let me text some of them and I'll figure out what's going on. Yeah, I'm not getting any response from anybody. What's going down? Oh well. Do 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 do. So what I was gonna focus on is just a review of notation, pitches and treble, and review of chords, and review of making sure that you are setting notation correctly against chords, because it has to do with what we're going to be focusing on tonight in class. So I don't have to do that. Especially, it's like if it's just you, you get to drive. Like I said, it's almost like a free lesson for you. Um, so you tell me what you would like. What
Well,
would
that's
help you?
actually very helpful for me because that is
Great.
what I'm, you know,
Perfect.
focusing on. So actually, I it was such an eye opener what you said last time because I
What
do realize
specifically?
that I mean, after everything that you said, I realized that I was kind of doing both, which I can't do, right? Because either you pick the chords and then you do the pitches that go together, or you pick
Yeah,
the pitches and then you have chords that, go with that. But I was kind of like, I like these pitches, I'm gonna
I
maybe
like these
adjust them if
chords.
possible, but like,
Yeah,
and then I like these chords, but like they have to go together. So that was really what my issue was.
interesting.
And so I kind of do still kind of lean towards picking the pitches first,
Okay,
but I am open to adjusting them to the chords if need be.
great.
But
So how do we adjust them to chords? Perfect. Okay, great. Let's look into that. That's a perfect segue. I didn't understand how serendipitous it would be. And
yeah,
and again, since a lot of these people review these videos, I mean, it's great because even working with a single student is wonderful. I mean, people have entire classes on oh, what's that one streaming site? There's one that isn't Vimeo and obviously not YouTube and stuff like that, but it's Twitch or something like that. Yeah, Twitch. Where it's the most popular. It's mostly for video gamers because it's like video game tutorials. But a lot of people use it to sit in on other people's lessons and watch other people be taught. And so that's pretty cool. Okay, so what I just want to start with is a review of if we have something like this. What are, like, here's your lead sheet, right? And we say, okay, we have G. And you see G, obviously, if there's nothing else, it means G major. So what are you're gonna have as potential chord tones, first of all?
definitely G,
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely G. And then what are the other two gonna be?
B and D.
Exactly. So what we're going to do is we're going to say which G, B, and D. And that's one of the things that's nice to know is your range, right? It's, this G here, this is what we call G3, because it's the third G on the piano. And I don't have a full keyboard here represented, unfortunately. They only go to here and here. But you can see a full keyboard there. But anyway, if you count them, you have this. I can do it this way. This is A0, A sharp 0, and B0, and this is C1, C2, C3, and then middle C is C4. So when we say G3, we mean this. It's the third G, if you count the Gs. It's the third G on the piano. So we know that G, that B. Oh, come on, Patrick, don't do that. I was going to get fun and do different colors, but no. Okay. So we immediately have this kind of spread. And above, and this is something that's very important, above this C, we start getting into potential for operaland. Like above here is definitely, especially for a female voice, you're really looking at head voice. Yes, you
Especially
can
for me.
belt. What?
I said especially for me.
Especially for you, exactly. Especially for you. So anyway, you think it's one of the nice things to think, like generally the middle of the staff above here, especially for women, you're looking at kind of working into a head voice range, and it's different for men, but it's not that you can't belt, quote unquote, above that, but it generally means, especially if you're starting a melody, that you kind of want to stay below here as far as which G you're going to pick, right? But these are the general options. So to say a chord tone, right, we are sticking with these specifically. And anything else is not a chord tone. If I add something here, then all of a sudden I could break the rules. For example, if I added major 7, and don't let that triangle scare you, it just means that in keeping in the key of G major as I am, right, there will be the potential to have this, since F is sharp, be the chord. I'm just stacking a third and then adding another third. So now your chord tones become everything including your F sharps, right? So now those become your chord tones. But the second I see this, then I got to get rid of these. And if you see this, G omit 3, now boom and boom. I literally can't have B's anymore. So now my only possibilities are G and D, right? And then this, you'll never see this because it's not a chord. But if you see omit 3 and 5, then you'll literally be like, well, guess my only option is G. Very good. Well, here, that's not G. There we go. But anyway, so you'll never see that. G omit 3, 5. That's just, there's no chord. You know, it's ridiculous. So I'm going to do a different chord, and I want you to tell me what note. Just throw out notes that you'd like me to use as chord tones.
Well, isn't it EGB?
Very good. So now, using your annotate function on your Zoom, what I'd like you to do is write the first note and just write it anywhere on that staff, if you would, for me. Good. All right. So now we have that as our first note. That's great. Excellent. And what would you, if I then said, okay, I would like another chord tone on beat 3. So let's call that beat 3. We have beat 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. So give me another chord tone, a different chord tone on beat 3. Beautiful. Excellent. So we have, well, let's play it correctly. And very good. Excellent. So if our chord is, you hear how those ring in the chord.
Yes.
Boom. So there's nothing out of character for those two. Now, my next chord, let's see, I go from here to here. What would your 2 notes be? Write 2 notes now that follow those.
So this would be D, F sharp, A.
Yes, it would, exactly. So oh, great. So that's cool. Good. Now, what if I were to add that 7 there? What would your options be?
Is it D, F sharp, A, C?
Very good. So now we have this. So an interesting thing happens when I have this. You can have a sequence of E, B, as you just did, right? But then if you wanted to go to that A or even that F sharp and then to the C natural, right? then what you have is a pattern that emerges. Right? It's kind of pretty. So, or if you wanted to go with your A, right? So it's not quite a dissonance because it's in the chord, right? But it's a very strong 4, scale degree 4 of that G. So anyway, that's very, very good. Okay, now when we talk about, and we're going to talk about this in class as well. Go ahead and erase what you have on the board. Good. Jordan, you must be so happy that I'm not calling on you or talking or even acknowledging that you stepped on, aren't you? You can just listen and watch.
Yeah, kind of.
Listen, this is good. Mofiani has something very specific she's working on, so you just watch. If you get super lost and you have a question, please jump in, okay?
Okay, also will let you know my keyboard is still a piece of crap. So I do have the option of like playing my keyboard that I do have, just like, over the speaker.
No worries. We'll talk about fixing that later, but this is just fine. Right now we're doing notation primarily. So so Mofiani doesn't even need her keyboard, let alone you needing yours. So we're just literally talking about writing our intended notes on here. So you should be fine. The one thing I do ask though is if you want to jump in, be sure to have your mouse ready or whatever because you're going to be drawing on this. You're going to be annotating. Okay?
Okay.
Good. All right. So now let's change the key. All right. Now, likewise, if I wanted, let's move to F. Why not? Go to F major here. And we'll do red this time. And let's say I wanted to do let's do the same 2 chords, but in F major. Now, let's say I wanted to do weak beat dissonances, all right? So, or sorry, weak beat consonances. So by weak beat consonances, and we're just assuming, we're always assuming this is like 4/4, right? So I want a half note and a quarter note, and I want that to be tied to a quarter note, and I want a half note and a quarter note here. Okay. So let me lift this up. There we go. So that's a little bit more clear. Okay, so the events are going to be as follows. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 events. Now, all of these I want to be weak beat consonances. How would you go about doing that? It's a little bit more advanced, but it is something, like I said, we're going to be doing this heavy today in class.
So you still want chord tones?
Yes, consonances are always chord tones. So D minor, the chord tones are?
DFA.
Exactly. And then C7, the chord tones are?
Is that CEG B?
Close. That is very close. Just it's a trick question because you got this B flat in the key signature. So all the B's are going to be flatted. So
Okay.
C, E, G, B would be this. It'd be C major 7. But just C7, because there's now a insinuate flat, means that there's a minor 7th in between these. So it is a dominant 7. It is not a major 7. So that's always going to have that flat right there. Okay. Good. So that's great. Right away, write your heart out.
But how can I tie it if it's not going to be a chord tone of?
Very good. Exactly. It creates a problem, doesn't it? But since it is tied, it creates a dissonance itself that is not technically, let's see what happens. Do something and let's mess around and see what it sounds like. So these are weak beat consonants here.
Okay. So we could put the F here.
Yep. Okay. Keep going.
I'm just trying to decide what to put. Should I put something that's a chord tone here or something that's a chord tone here?
I want them to be all chord tones. So as far as you are concerned, this is where D minor lives. This is where C7 lives. So anything is golden as a chord tone between here and here, and anything is golden as a chord tone between here and here. But you are not responsible for a note that holds over. You are just responsible for which notes you select.
I will choose the D then.
Very good.
Right.
So we have FD. Good. Write that. Make sure you don't write an E. That's FE.
Oh, sorry. Trying to do a D here.
I understand. I'm very arrogant because I got my beautiful little iPad and my Apple Pencil, and I feel so fun. It's like, yay! And then you're trying to do it with like a mouse and squiggles.
Yeah, like with my fingers, I'm trying to configure it in
I know, I get it.
the laptop. So
I get it. Yeah, I should shut up. Okay. Good. Wonderful. And then, what's your half note gonna be? I mean, we get this carries over. I mean, I got that. But
yes.
what's your half note?
I wanted to put the G here.
Okay, go up to the G.
Yes.
Great. All right, and we're going up to the G, and then what next?
E, below.
Okay, great, excellent, wonderful, and then we go down to the E. Okay, great. So as a reminder, if we were writing this in a chord chart, you would write this as F4 for a half, and then this would be D, and since it's the third, you can say down to D if you'd like, and then this will be for this. This is kind of how it would be on Microsoft Word. We still have to figure out what's going on with yours. I really do not. I'm so sorry you're dealing with that.
Yeah, I need an IT person.
Yes. And then, like, that would be, like, in Microsoft Word, that's what we're looking at, right? Basically. Good. Excellent. But that's very, very well done. Okay. Now, let's play and see what happens. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So that's an interesting thing that happens. We leap away from this. So we create kind of a non-chord tone. So the question is it better served if we get rid of it entirely, or if we ask what happens? Now, if this were, for example, a C, right, then that would make this a suspension. By definition, we'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So it kind of resolves itself. Right? So it becomes a more common non-chord tone. But one of the things that we want to think about, when you leap, right, as opposed to step, you are responsible for a lot of the information that happens in between. So one of the things that I've noticed about your work in particular is that when you enjoy leaping, which you do enjoy leaping, and we don't have any idea of a harmony, and you do this, for example, right? If I do this and then I leap again, and then let's say you go down one. And so you like this, right? And have that in a measure. And then say write an F against it. Right? And you just say, oh, I kind of like the sound of that. Well, the thing is, because we don't have any resolution of these, the majority of this information is G major, right? That's a G major chord, right? Or if I do this, and I'm writing something like this. And I have two C's against what is essentially an E minor chord. That's where the clashing thing happens, right? So it really is, if you want to write a melody first, that's wonderful, but you want to really think about the majority of the chord and where it is picked up and what is actually insinuated in these real symbols, right? These chord tones. Now, as we get into dissonances, we can have, here, go ahead and erase yours if you could. As we get into dissonances, there is a lot we can do. Because I'm going to do one just from scratch. So we have, let's do this, D minor, and then let's go here, just a real easy one. And then let's go down to C and then up to G. So we have a shape that is a valley, okay? A valley shape. Now, I want you to fill in the following, if you could. Right, in between. So I'm going to change these to quarter notes. And I want you to, and then this is going to be, yeah, this will be 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's keep this. I'm going to keep this last one a half note. Now I want you to fill in the following. There we go, values. And I want everything that I just put, you can just tell me, I'll write it in for you. I want you to put everything that you see here as non-chord tones. So I only want weak beat dissonances for what you see here. So in other words, it cannot be a D, an F, or an A in the first measure. And it cannot be a C, E, or a G. Or I'll tell you what, I'll make it a little easier. I'll just make that a regular C. It can't be a C, E, or a G. Right? But I want you have 2 8th notes, a quarter note, and then 2 8th notes. So what do you do to try to, and remember, this goes down and then up again. So trying to maintain your shape is of utmost importance here. So what do we do?
Do they have to be the same note? The eighth right there?
They have to be the durational value of what I told you. So it's kind of like fill in the blanks. It's kind of like Mad Libs. Here we go. We're filling in this, 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 and this. All right, 5 things to fill in. But they must be non-chord tones. So we have this going to this. So what you want, that is a non-chord tone.
If it's going down, then there should be an E between the F and the D.
Okay, that's one of the 2 choices. Wonderful. But what do you do for the other one if it can't be a chord tone?
I mean, I'm thinking it could be either an E or a D because you're going down.
Okay, so a D is a chord tone, so that's not
Okay,
right. And
so,
you can't, and I don't want you to repeat the same note. I don't want. All right.
All right, but we're going down, so like I can't make it a C, right? You want it to go in one direction, or
Well, the idea is if we do this and we're trying to maintain this downward slope, what do we do to continue to make it downward? What is this going to be here?
Well, you can make that a C.
Could I? Okay, that's fine. And that carries it over, right? And that's perfectly fine. That absolutely is a perfect thing to do. You can also make it a B, can't you?
Yeah.
Right? So now we still maintain this, still on track. The other thing you can do is there's lots of options here. You can slightly go above here, right? So we have, and then what do you want to do here? We do your C idea here, right? And then what do you want to do with this? You have 2 here.
D and F.
Yes. That's beautiful, actually. Right? All right, good. So let's see what we have here. And I'll show you the effect. We have... Right? So you still have the same feeling of that ebb and flow. Now let's go back to the other one that we did. Let's do E. And let's say we go down below C. And then let's go a little bit lower to that B. Right? And see if that sounds so different. There's, yeah, no, sorry, E flat. And you know, it's great. Right, and then you answer. You have an answer afterwards. So that's a great like feeling of still going down and then we're going up. Right? So we haven't destroyed the ebb and flow of that. Right? But it still makes sense in context. It is self-evident with the harmonies that we have that way. I keep doing that. Damn it. Right?
Can I ask a question?
Please do.
So when you say skipping without resolution, do you mean to just make the last 2 notes like one step? Like without, leaping.
Oh, so you're talking about these 2 here?
No, just in general.
In general?
Because like when you say leaping without resolution, like the resolution is to have it go one step, or is there something else?
Leaping. Oh, you're talking about contrapuntal motives here? Like, or contrapuntal voices, or contrapuntal voices. So in other words, when you're talking about whenever I have a note and I leap away from that note, that this note rings until it is resolved by a step?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You definitely want to pay attention to that, but that's more that's more for like the grand scheme of things. That's more for like the entirety of what you're seeing. And it's more of an issue if you're going to like leap way the hell up and then keep leaping and leaping and leaping. Right? That's where it gets really wonky. Right? When we're talking about like, for example, the fact that I skipped E here, right? So that E is ringing, and because I resolved the B and the C, then we just want to keep in mind that the ear is still going to hear E until either a D or an F of some type is played. So that's not a problem. Like, especially if this were, or, sorry, the D is ringing, not the E. There we go. So I was wondering about that. So this D is in the background. So unless actually an E or a C, there we go, E or a C of some sort plays. So if my last chord is this, right, that's not really resolved. It has to kind of go here. Or if my last chord is here, it needs to be up. So it's the idea of eventually resolving. But within a motive, you can definitely have that. But the point is, I have strong beats on a C and a G already, so, right? That's what I end up with. It's not like you need Like that's literally spelling it out. Dissonance is not a bad thing. It's about the anchoring. And for you, the main thing to worry about is the fourth scale degree. That's the one that really gets you in trouble, right? Because the second you're working with, like, let's take it back to C. So we're talking about C. This note here against this chord is really terse. That's going to have a very, so if you leap to this or leap away from this. So if I'm on this chord, it's really hard to justify that as a consonance. You understand? Or as something you meant to do. It sounds like, especially if you're singing it, and this is the thing to remember, is it's all about context, right? If you're singing it, you're gonna sound like you're singing the wrong note. That's the point, because you're not justifying it in the music, right? And it's hard to, so it's even if you want a lovely open sparse sound and you bang that note, it's really hard to go, I meant to do that, when it's gonna sound just so like you sharped your E, right? Because what you're hearing here, I'll do it without showing you. What you're hearing, if I play this, sorry, here we go. Right? Right? You're gonna think the singer meant, right? Because it's in the chord, it's already. But if you sing, you need a little bit more justification. If you had this going on, above it, and then when, that makes sense. Something in the orchestra, you know what I mean? To give you that, I get why they're singing this. But if you just outright write it like that and then leap away from it, it's like, oh, no, I don't buy it. That's just, she's singing sharp. You understand the difference?
Yeah, I mean, I understand it when you play it, but I think I'm still trying to understand what I'm doing that is sounding, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just trying to make choices that are, well, not right, but that go.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to understand, like when I hear the difference between what you played and what you just played, I could hear it. But, for me, like choosing pitches and, I'm just trying to understand what I'm doing.
For you, well, here's the thing with you. I'd say as a discipline, in order for you to understand it better, you have a very artistic, highly creative sensibility to you. And you have a very strong instinct artistically. You're not afraid to delve into things that don't have a level of complete familiarity to you. You understand what I mean by that?
Yeah.
Like you'll go into filmmaking without a film degree. You'll go into right. Poetry without necessarily having like, the 5 degrees in the Pulitzer and you're like, no, screw that. I want to learn by doing. You're not afraid to do that. And so with this is an example of that. You love to just throw yourself instinctively into something, and you want to know why it doesn't work if it doesn't work, or why something else works better, or why it works if it works is even more important. Like, okay, this works. My ear says this works. Why is this working? I don't. So for you especially, I would literally stick to the order of operations of what we're doing right now. By the way, is called melodic setting. This is different than just free composition melodically. Melodic setting means we're setting to something that is a fixed variable. In this case, the fixed parameter is what?
The chords and pitches?
The chords.
The chords, okay.
Chords, yeah.
The chords.
Chords are fixed. So if they're fixed, and you're not going to change the chord to fit your harmony. Now, I'll tell you what. I could go the other way. I could say, okay, let's kill the rules. Da, 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 da. Here we go. I want you to I'll tell you what. You give me, we'll do C major now. You give me some notes that are just what you want to write. Just like mess around and give me 4 here and 3 here. Okay? 4 the first measure, 3 on the second. And just give me a melody of any sort, just a pitches in a row. Don't even worry about the durations right now. Just give me 4 notes that you like in any order and 3 notes to follow those 4 notes.
So do chord tones?
Oh, no, specifically don't. Specifically write against whatever, like forget the chord. Just go hum, write whatever you want. Free writing. No rules.
Okay, D, F, E, G.
D, F, E, G. Okay, so we're gonna do D.
For the first
F.
measure.
Okay, so that's kind of sequential. That's good. I like that because that's a little tough. Okay, and then what are the next 3? So F, E, G, and then what are the next ones? Leap up.
A, F, G.
That's step up. Okay, that's fine. Little noodly, but that's good. But I like that as a whole. That's actually brilliant. Yeah. Okay, good. So now. Now I'm gonna say, okay, let's say now you said this was C, right? And that actually works too well. Yeah. And let's go to D minor. Okay. So now we have this. You know what? I'll give you one more second. Here we go. Say this is E minor. I'm trying to write things that don't completely work. Here we go. Okay, so we have C, E, G, and we have E minor, right? And so here we have a problem because we have as your first 2 notes 2 non-chord tones, and then your next 2 on the following measure are. So you can hear immediately how these do not work, right? Is that pretty obvious if I go and I go and I play them in isolation? You hear how they're very much not aligned with the chords I am playing. So you would almost say I'm playing the wrong chords even, right? If I go in isolation, that's beautiful. But if I then play, right, there are other better ways to harmonize it. I can, even just being literal, I can go. Right? Just something like that would be way better than. And. So now, the other way around this is I can go, okay, what can I do to this C major that fits this? This is a really, really hard one. So what we could do is make this kind of a. So 2 things. First is I'm going to make this a major 7 and include a B, because if I have this, then it makes this feel not as intense. I can move this D over a little bit so it's not on the strong beat, right? And then I can shift this and then this is now beat 3, right? And then we have these great chord tones here, and then here I can do the same thing here. Instead of this E minor having, I can say I want those pitches. I love this row, but I'm going to move these over so that they come a little bit later in the measure. And by staggering, here's what I end up getting. 1. Let me move this out of the way. I don't know why this does. I'll do it again. And 1. You see how that doesn't offend you at all? It just sounds like a beautiful melody. Like you absolutely meant to write these pitches, and these are absolutely right all of a sudden, even against those chords. Because what you're doing is you're avoiding the point where the chord, in other words, think of it in movie terms, it's like your shot is set up, and then it makes sense that your lead is out of the light, right? And a little off screen, but then comes in at just the right time. And the whole shot is justified. Whereas if you just go shot and character and the lighting is bad and they're slightly off frame, you understand?
Yes.
Yeah, it's just like no. That's the there's an issue with the cinematography. You wouldn't be like, that's correct. Right? But in context, if they suddenly come on a little bit and stuff like that, it's like in context it makes so much more sense because you justify it by saying, okay, and again, like I'm telling you, just because these are the chords, do not think that I am advocating right in chord tones only. I actually do not advocate that.
So does that have to do with listening to the subdivision?
Yes.
Like
what makes it dissonant is it has a lot to do with time. It has to do with the when things happen, not just the what is happening. So it's something it's nuanced, and it's something that you develop a little bit more and more and more and more over time. So this thing with weak beat and strong beat dissonances is really, really important, because again, there's the difference between melodic setting, which is what we're doing, and then having a melody and going, okay, what do I do harmonically? Or how do I justify? I think one of your issues is again, you'll have chords and you have a melody and you write the melody first, and then you have these chords and you kind of like these chords and you like this melody. And like you said at the beginning, it's like smushing them together and going, well, why don't they fit? As opposed to going, one or the other has to be malleable. Either you're going to make your melody malleable to the chords because you love the chords, or you make your chords malleable. Or what I just demonstrated is you can make the rhythmic aspect malleable so that your non-chord tones, if they are creating a good shape, which you showed me a very good shape, if those non-chord tones are happening not on strong beats, but rather, you can move them to where they're weaker beats, and they really they don't sound like mistakes that way. All right. And Julie and Tootie, I know you just jumped on, but Jordan, you did not just jump on. Jordan, do you have anything to add, anything to subtract, anything to ask about that as far as the difference between weak and strong? We're going to review that in this class.
No, I think that's it's very interesting, and I definitely should focus it more on my work, because I'm definitely just like, woo, whatever, you know what I mean? I don't really think about things like that.
No.
So.
Okay, great. Excellent. All right. Take 2 minutes, and I'm going to start on up. I'm going to log off, and then everybody log on.